It's like 12 different photos. It's insane.
It kind of feels like we're about to do the last podcast. Not our last podcast, and there's no news coming out of the cold open today. It just feels to me like this is going to be the last podcast or the last time to do a podcast that anybody listens to. Because we already know that tomorrow Taylor Swift is on new heights. She has already announced her next album through a social promo with New Heights. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that we are recording a podcast now, to me, feels like we may have the last legal definition of what a podcast is right here on KCSN, because starting tomorrow, it's all completely over. It's all completely ascended to, well, new heights, I suppose you could say.
Yes.
Nate, I feel like we have to appreciate this format. Obviously, it's been getting more and more and more and more mainstream at a fever pace for a while now. But
Mm-hmm.
it feels like tomorrow we all know we're about to watch podcast records be broken, and
Yes.
I'm afraid for our livelihoods.
Think about this, Josh. We don't know what the album looks like.
Nope.
We don't know how many tracks.
Nope.
Is she gonna talk ball? Like, I'm just
Review those
look.
Josh Simmons snaps.
It's been a great run, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a great run, and I'm happy to concede, along with Josh and a man who is not yet here with us. Okay, if it's time to give up the mics, it's time to give up the mics. Okay, I understand. I just want to know, um, Miss Swift, can we please record a show on Thursday, or is all of the internet gonna be gone by then?
All the bandwidth is going to be gone. All of the RSS feeds are going to all funnel to this exact one. And Nate, you really hit on what to me is the death blow of all of this. I'm no Jason
Man,
Kelce. You're no Travis Kelce. We understand this. We know our lot in life. We know who we can compare to. But we can't even get Seth here to do a Taylor Swift impression. We are cooked. One preseason game is in the books. The podpocalypse is just about here. Seth Keysor may join in progress as we roll on here today. Nate is, for the first time in Only Weird Games this season, is live from St. Joseph, Missouri. So please forgive any lagging or any maybe slight
yeah,
pixelation in the video feed. It's a modern miracle that
yeah.
Nate is live with us here.
Look, as Paslu says, Seth is lost in the woods, and if that is indeed the case, uh, I can't see where I am, guys. I'm still in camp mode. I mean, this is look around you, kids. It's the last night. It was early this afternoon that I saw them. Saw those poor young kids trying to get all that tackling dummy equipment back onto the truck. They were struggling. I watched a man try to forklift a blocking shed, and he was struggling. It's the last night that your Kansas City Chiefs are required to be in St. Joseph, Missouri, per the authority of Andy Reid. Which means, for you guys, I'm in the place that I've grown so accustomed to. Josh, not a single thing has changed. Not a single one. Not a god dang thing, man. But it's great to be here. It's nice to know that the sun is still shining on us, and I don't know where Seth is, but at least he's gotten outside of camp life, and he actually
Yes.
went camping, and now he may never come back.
Seth is actually, I can confirm, Seth is actually inside that giant hat Travis Kelce was wearing for the GQ photo shoot. Tucker's trying to find the hat somewhere now. If anyone knows how to get it and wants to give it to me for free, I'll wear it on the show, maybe for the whole season. I don't know. I just would really like to find, I would like my hat to fill my entire box on the video feed. I've got like a winter hat, but
Yes.
today's not the day for that. Nate, we do have like actual stuff. I've got the snap count sheet. I've got the little dots, and I know when guys were playing certain drives and not playing other ones. And Seth's got a couple film reviews. We'll see if we'll get there when we get there and kind of figure that out. But maybe we start with the pass catchers here, because I'll tell you what, man, I'm dead serious about this. I know it will shock people to find out. We do try pretty hard to like make sure everybody's properly educated about the battles and the players to watch and the stuff going on. Like there is actually a bit of a responsibility here to that. And I don't think we said Jason Brownlee's name on this show all camp. I don't maybe before the show, I know we looked at the depth chart, but I don't think I said the words Jason Brownlee. And then on the second snap from scrimmage of the preseason, I get third actually, because there was the penalty. Patrick Mahomes' one pass that counted in the first preseason game went to Jason Brownlee looking like DeAndre Hopkins, just the reach in the hands and just pulling it out of the sky. We're not going to overreact to individual plays or to things that we've warned people off of in recent weeks, but that highlight is a real bleeping highlight. Like that deserves to be on replay the rest of his natural life. And I really am curious, like looking at the way that he and Tyquan Thornton got used. No Hollywood Brown, no Rashee Rice in this game. I'm curious what you think about the wide receiver shakeup, because there are a few names here we need to discuss.
So, for those watching, wherever you are, let me give you a brief reenactment of what I was doing Saturday night.
The lag in the video is only making this reenactment better. Nate has furrowed his brow, looked into the camera, and is now shuffling through his bag for papers, looking at a depth chart, pointing, searching. Brownlee? This is my play-by-play attempt as Nate shows some pixelated paper to the camera that we cannot read.
Yeah, it's in 2-point font. Yeah. Oh, is it? Okay, Jason Brownlee, cool. So think about it from this standpoint. He had started to come on last week before the preseason game. Now, you weren't sure how much that was going to carry over, if they're just trying new things. Again, training camp is about experimentation. How he get on the field on the second snap? How?
He wasn't on the field in the second drive.
Did he sneak into the huddle and say, "Hey,
watch this.
I'm good for the back shoulder fade. I'm good for the hey. If you see 1-on-1 on the outside, give me the signal.
I got go gadget arms. Apparently, I'll be there.
Yes,
I'm open.
Yes. So look, I thought he played really well. Yes, it's hilarious that he wasn't on the second drive. I know someone in the comments just said. I know someone in the comments asked, "Hey, do I still think Nico Remigio is on the team?" And I do. I don't see why Nico's case has gotten any less validity to it. But it is nice to know now that the Chiefs have found another one, Jason Brownlee, who did play for the Jets. I want to make this clear. Like sometimes you look for the sheet and you go, "Who?" and then you Google and you're like, "Huh? I mean." But his catch in the preseason game was a catch. It was not a drop. It was not an incompletion. Thanks for video review. Why do we have it? Yeah, I think right now we should still go into Friday's game with the assumption that, like, hey, they still need 7 receivers. Let's see what happened with Rashee Rice. Most likely going to be suspended to start the season. Did Tyquan Thornton do anything wrong?
No. So this is why I think this is so interesting. Even like the Nico question is an interesting one too, because
Right.
Nico didn't do anything wrong, but he didn't play till the second half. Nico was on
Right.
the field after Sky Moore made his debut and had some first half snaps. Like the
Correct.
way that the snaps went down, look, I think we can go ahead and set in stone here. Obviously, we're noting that Rashee Rice likely suspended, so if that's the case, his roster spot will be different. But we know making the roster,
Yes.
active or
He'd
suspended.
be a roster exception.
So Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, Juju Smith-Schuster, Xavier Worthy, Jalen Royals are on the team. Any of those five would be an absolutely massive upset. Tyquan Thornton got the first target in the red zone, and he got more early snaps than Brownlee did, but there was the penalty. It was incomplete, all of that. And he stayed out there he got 10 snaps, 11 counting the target that didn't end up counting. I have nothing to take away from Tyquan Thornton. I feel like he's probably the logical 6, and you're probably keeping 7 because Rice is not active the first however many weeks.
Correct.
I do think it's interesting that Nico was tier 3 amongst wide receiver reps, even as he appears to be Dave Tobe's favorite of the receivers. I think right now it seems like he'd be on the 53-man side of cut down day. But I don't know. I genuinely wanted to kind of pick your brain on where those last few spots go.
We've this is even a better competition than a couple years ago, in my opinion, at the receiving position, considering how well Tyquan Thornton has done, and the fact that, look, Jason Brownlee, similar to Tyquan, presents a different dynamic to him because he does have go-go gadget arms. He is a tall body receiver that can work in the red zone if that's what you're looking for to have on your roster, not just for week 1, but like throughout the course of the season, in case you do have an injury at the position. And that's how you have to frame this stuff, because we know if everyone was healthy, you're really only activating 5, maybe 6 receivers on game day. 2 of those guys need to be ready to come in. That's obviously Juju and Jalen Royals most likely. And then obviously you need somebody to be your returner. Now, one reason I think Nico is safe is because the Chiefs, after much build-up, Josh, did not let Brashard Smith touch the ball at any point where the game was relevant. I thought he was supposed to be the one that was challenging Nico for kickoff return and punt return. They didn't really give him that opportunity.
Thornton got a return somewhere in there.
Right. And so, again, I guess you could have Thornton do it if you want to, maybe try to squeeze Nico onto the practice squad. I understand that. But I think Friday and the following game really will decide how this shakes out, because I think it's a true competition. Whatever your argument is, ladies and gentlemen, you're not wrong. If you love Jason Brownlee, fine. If you're like me and you think Nico Remigio has done everything you could have asked for based on his talent level and where he fits in the roster, he's continued to do that. And oh, by the way, Tyquan Thornton was the star of training camp for anyone who wasn't a starter going into training camp. So if it's 2 out of those 3, then we got a real competition. And I want to see more Brownlee. I want to see more Tyquan Thornton in the first quarter against the Seahawks. And, are we requesting, and I think this is where it gets tricky, Josh, are we requesting to see Nico Remigio with Gardner Minshew more than Sky Moore, which would be an admission moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would, and I don't know if that's – I think you still want to get the snaps for Jalen Royals, who, again, was out there with Minshew. And I think it's interesting that Thornton was out after the second drive. I can't remember. He had I see the pip of one more snap later on. I don't know. I rewatched all this earlier, and the details of the preseason games have already began to fuzz out into the vignette around my eyes. But sorry, I felt like someone just put a shell up to my ear. I could hear the ocean there in the audio. I am very interested to see what those next couple games look like. I would like to see Remigio get a little bit of work in the regular flow of the offense to see if he has some usefulness there. Then now he's a two-phase player again. If he's exclusively a special teamer, he's going to be one of the guys that you're talking about at cutdowns. And you just, I know that a lot of Chiefs fans, you go back to the Sky Moore muff punt fiasco and all of those things. I know that there is value to just having like someone who can consistently do the job at an average level. I'm totally good with that. But I do feel like there's an interesting, not even a head-to-head battle, but just the 50 through 53 roster spot kind of battle of who can we afford to keep. And again, if Nico can be active on, well, he's obviously gonna be active if he's your kick returner. If he can be a part of the offense, even on a very back end level, while Rashee Rice was presumably suspended, that makes him a little more valuable. And then I think that roster spot seems safer. But again, it's very small sample sizes, one game through, and just a little bit of work for all these guys we're talking about.
All this tells us is we need to actually see a quarter of Patrick Mahomes and like a real quarter of Gardner Minshew, if that's what Andy Reid decides, because you can't really. It's so funny, you can't really evaluate with one pass of Patrick Mahomes, and that one pass goes to Jason Brownlee for 1 yard touchdowns. It's like, I know we get so excited for the first preseason game. I know I've said it before. It's like the sizzle. That's that first little sizzle on the steak. But
it started hot. It started hot, dude. That first sizzle was great for about 48 seconds. And then it was
I can't, I don't need to see Bailey Zappi until halftime. Okay.
You know what?
Let's be clear.
The game did not lose that part of its luster for me. It wasn't when Bailey Zappi entered. It was after the deep ball to Thornton that just a little bit overthrown. When that ball was in the air, I was ready to become the #1 preseason game super fan of just let Bailey Zappi just throw deep balls to Thornton over and over and over again. You know what? That might have actually been the one Thornton play that I couldn't remember. It has to be.
Right.
He came back in for that rep and then left again. I don't know. Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. We can't evaluate this. They can't connect.
You know what? I was gonna say we can move to another pass catching option, but the Taylor Swift of this podcast showed up. Seth Keysor. Hey, Seth. Can I hear you?
You can tell that I'm a big deal because of my willingness to arrive completely, totally late, and apparently have mic settings that almost kill Josh.
I could hear you, and I'll tell you what, Seth, you were loud and clear. Emphasis on the loud. So I'm glad that we're here and clear, and it's a perfect timing to move and talk about the left side of the offensive line. I'm not going to give you any ramp up period here, Seth. You're going into this game and you're getting some reps because we got a small handful of snaps from Josh Simmons and Kingsley Suamataia. We can weave these together. Here's what I know to be true as I set the stage for Seth. Josh Simmons went out there and passed every test again. Congratulations. It's another one. I think it's worth noting none of Josh Simmons's tests have guaranteed that he will be a Pro Football Hall of Famer or a great starter in week 1 or a starting caliber player deep into the season. It guarantees nothing. But from rookie mini camps through the first preseason game, Josh Simmons has passed every test that appears to be put in front of him, and he did it again, losing 0 of his 10 reps, or 11 reps, 10 official because of the penalty we've talked about. And then Kingsley has one bad rep that most of us probably saw live. You've definitely seen if you saw it on Twitter.
He definitely tripped. He definitely tripped.
It begs the question of, was Kingsley a problem out there? And I think the two questions were, is Josh Simmons perfect, or was he on Saturday? And was Kingsley a problem, or did anything about your evaluation of those two players change in the first preseason game, Seth? He's frozen. Seth's frozen. Seth's back.
One thing I would just I'm here. I'm back.
I see.
Here and back again. A story of Seth Keysor being bad at podcasting. I would just say this. Yeah, he tripped, but he tripped because he got chucked backward. That's not that's one thing. The rep looked worse because he tripped, but he tripped because he was getting tossed backward by a guy that weighs 100 pounds less than him because he didn't square up.
You know what,
he didn't
Seth?
keep his feet underneath him. You don't get the benefit of a doubt when you do the same thing that you've done repeatedly.
You know what, Seth? Didn't fall on his keister.
What?
I call that a win. Didn't fall on his keister. Did not fall on his keister.
Well, yeah, he also didn't take off his skate and try to stab someone. I mean, like, there's lots of things that he didn't do, but like, I mean, he didn't vomit. He did not defecate on the field.
Maybe he should have. Maybe he should have vomited Bob Spaghetti before the game. I don't know.
Yeah, and so I would just I'll start with Simmons because that's the thing that everyone wants to have fun talking about, and for good reason. Simmons was everything you could have hoped for in a limited sample size that only included a couple of true pass protection sets and that sort of thing, right? He only included, again, he was only asked to do like on an island pass protection a couple times. Man, he did really well those couple times. He had a really nice reach block on a run play. Not one where he really affected the play much, but he let his defender get upfield a little, snatched that arm and pulled him upfield a little bit, got the angle. On that same play, by the way, Kingsley Suamataia had a really nice reach block of his own where he demonstrated that ability to get wide. With Simmons, I wrote about it, Chief of the North newsletter. I actually wrote about both of them, so check it out. But the thing with Simmons is that everything that you would have hoped for in terms of how it looked is how it looked. And that, again, like you said, Josh, it doesn't guarantee that he's going to be a star. It doesn't guarantee he's even going to be good. But just like he has at every step so far, he's done the thing. He's done the thing that makes you feel more comfortable with him getting more reps, with him, being on an island. Like it's like each individual step, right? It's incremental. This was more real than anything he's faced so far. That first 3rd and 5, I mean, was he trying to pass block, a Bosa or Micah Parsons or Myles Garrett? No, he was trying to block a 5-year NFL veteran who isn't a great player, but he's not a lousy one either. How did he look? Stonewalled him, even with an illegal hand to the face. That was a little borderline, but you'd probably get that called in a game most of the time. He showed that ability to drop his hips and reestablish his anchor. He showed that ability to get to his spots. He showed that quick get off. He showed the ability to move well laterally. He showed everything he could possibly show in that sample size. The way I phrased it when I wrote about it, and there's a lot of fun video clips to look at and all that fun stuff, is that you couldn't really have asked him to do more in the circumstances that he's had. It went as well as it could have possibly gone. He looked on some reps pretty dominant. And then on the other ones was more average. One that I really enjoyed, the other 3rd and long that he was in on, he actually got some chip help from Kareem Hunt to the left side.
Yes.
The way he handled that chip help and the way that he utilized it, when you compare it to what we saw last year, and actually what we saw the year before from even Donovan Smith, who's a veteran, or Jawan Taylor, who's a veteran, the Chiefs tackles have struggled to appropriately utilize chips. And so what they've, and we talked about this before, right? Where, the back will lay a big old hit into the guy and it looks amazing and it spins him right into this inside rushing lane into the quarterback's lap. Or like the running back and the tackle will run into each other. It's looked kind of sloppy at times. Simmons just basically stopped on a dime mid slide, not mid slide, because he took that last step. He took that last step, got set, and he stopped and allowed Kareem Hunt, because he's got Kareem Hunt coming in right here. If you go any farther, you're going to run into Kareem Hunt. If you go any farther, even a little, if you don't run into him, you're opening up a lane right here.
Yeah, he crosses your face, right.
And instead, he just stopped, knowing the outside shoulder is not in danger at all right now, because there's a 215-pound running back with a full head of steam right there. The guy's not going to beat you around that edge. That's one way, like, tackles don't – Mitch Schwartz talks about this sometimes. Some tackles don't really like chip help in that way from a running back, because it actually puts them more out in space and requires them to change their usual set. Simmons just adjusted. and did it perfectly. So now he's waiting inside. When the chip hits, now the guy's momentum is stalled and he can't go all the way out the edge. He has to try to convert kind of to power and just right into Simmons or inside. And Simmons is just waiting right there for him. Boom, stops him in his tracks. Nothing. Loved it. Loved seeing him in a couple different scenarios like that. So that was all good. Kingsley Suamata-Ia, that snap sucked. That was a really bad snap. He gave up a hit on a play where Simmons had a really nice pass block set. And I mean, I talked about it in good news, bad news. So I'll start in reverse. I'll do the bad news is the feet and hands issues and just general technique. Because the reason he struggled there, I think, is a combination of things. He passed off not passed off. He helped a little to the inside, saw the blitz coming, but then rather than staying square as he set, he gets sideways, and he got in too much of a hurry to get vertical. And in doing so, let his feet get away from him. And so when the linebacker arrived, maybe it was a safety. I can't even remember. You can never tell with numbers anymore. Okay, so when the linebacker arrives, so he only outweighs him by like 70 pounds. So when the linebacker arrives, his feet aren't right, his body's not square, and then what happens? You get shoved backward. And that's going to that makes it so much more likely that you're going to trip. Even if he hadn't tripped, I think that rep was probably over for him. He'd been moved far enough backward that there was a line to the quarterback. That was a really bad rep. He had one other rep.
Did you see Gardner Minshew's reaction?
I did not.
It was oh my God, this is not practice. Get that ball away from me.
Yeah. No, he got that ball out quick. The thing with he did have an additional rep where the defender was able to kind of one-handed move him off his spot. And that's just hard. That is just the lack of the third thing that I would say happened there. Two technique thing. And the final thing is his balance just isn't consistently good enough in those moments to recover. For a guy who's very athletic, he's not necessarily always smooth and he just doesn't maintain. He seems to play a little top heavy. And so if he gets knocked off balance, he kind of weebles it for a minute, And I think it's the combination of all three things. And I saw that on one other snap. The run was too far away for it to really matter, but it wasn't a great rep for him. Other than that, he was fine. Good even on a couple. He had a really nice reach block where he demonstrated that athleticism. I would just say that the good news is eyes up, sees the blitz coming. Generally speaking, passed off stuff well. Had a couple of nice pass block reps. Had a couple of nice run block reps. The other good news is the issues that he had, they were able to hide it better. Because on some pass block reps, it's like, all right, we're sliding Creed to you. We trust Trey to hold up. We trust Moore to hold up, which he did. And we trust Simmons to hold up. And so you guys, you two stonewall that dude. And they did, because no one's getting through both of those guys. No one's getting through Creed on his own, really. And so that's the good news is it wasn't as bad as that one snap made it look. Overall, He wasn't like awful throughout the game or anything like that. But I will say, in a small sample size of, I think, 11 snaps, the fact that you have one real bad one in there is disconcerting. It's less than ideal when, for me, 10% is like, that's the line for a starter. If you are losing more at 10% or higher, you are probably in that, we might need to move on range, depending on, right? Game by game, it's going to change. Trey Smith has had games where he's above 10%. Everyone does for the most part. So it's disconcerting. The good news is he demonstrated good traits. It wasn't as bad as it was at left tackle. And it was demonstrated the way that the offense could hide that stuff a lot better at left guard than left tackle.
Nate, there's a bunch of stuff you can kind of talk about there. But one thing I just wanted to check on that I think I saw somewhere, that did Mike Caliendo get into the rotation a little bit earlier on in training camp there yesterday or today?
Yes, yesterday. Yesterday they started tinkering with the lineup, and so You saw it. So it's clear to me as of right now, the starting five is still the starting five, but you still have Mike Caliendo as your interior option one, and you have Jalen Moore as your, outside tackle option number one. So now that doesn't mean that Jalen Moore can't go to left guard if Kingsley struggles early in the season, but it was interesting that yesterday they started evenly sharing a little bit more reps with Kingsley, and then today with a full pad practice, they actually let Jalen Moore start the first team offense, and then Jawan came in as the second, sort of first team player at right tackle. So they're tinkering some things. I don't know how much that'll necessarily be changed in terms of the lineup on Friday. We might get a little bit more insight after Friday's game, but you can tell that, like, hey, I don't know if it's to put pressure on certain guys or just to keep guys on their toes, but like, hey, we are going to tinker with some of the lineups here at the spots that are not definitely secure, like right guard, center, and left tackle. When it comes to Kingsley, he has a perception issue, and I just want to make that very clear, guys. Hopefully he plays Friday's game and nobody recognizes him. But he has a reputation now through one season and one preseason game of when he loses, it jumps off the screen. And you cannot really have that when everybody knows the issues that the Chiefs have been dealing with. Not just at the left tackle position, but honestly at the offensive line position throughout the last 2 years. So if he could die a slow death, that would be better. And it's supposed to be somewhat easier at guard to do that than at tackle. So
just stay square.
He just needs consistency and not to lose so fast in a fashion where, like, I mean, within seconds of that play, all I saw on my Twitter feed was just like, "Did you see Kingsley?" And you're just like, "Oh, you can't have that." So those are my only thoughts. But I still think we expect to see the normal starting five as of right now for Friday's game against Seattle, and then then we can obviously evaluate and adjust from there.
I have, just to jump in, I do have good news. If you want to think of it even in terms of that really bad play. And I wrote about this in the Suamata Ia film review, and all 22 was available at that point, so the angles are a little easier than they are with Simmons. That's one of the things. If you're writing that night, you're kind of stuck with the broadcast view. Hey, shout out to everyone for being patient with me while I went camping this weekend. The North Shore is beautiful, and so thanks for your patience. Shout out to the hotel clerk that let me do the work there in the lobby. So the very next play, because on that 3rd and 5, or that 2nd and 5, when he got just blasted, I think it was 2nd and 5. The next play, the next down, it was the 3rd and 5, I believe. Right. I think I'm getting this right, but I think it was second down to
I think you're right. Yeah.
They sent not an identical blitz, but
similar.
Yeah. They sent the same defender right at him. And you know what he did that time? He stayed square, didn't get himself sideways, completely stonewalled. Great. Now, if you can show me that you can grow, because facing an interior blitz is something that in a live game is something Kingsley Suamata has never done. So fair enough. Okay, he set more like a tackle than he should have. Okay, it just didn't work. Now you learn something. And so seeing those 2 reps back to back, fair enough. And so I'm willing to see what it looks like Friday. I mean, I think you make a good point, Nate, that he's got a perception issue. Yes. I would say, it's an earned perception issue. But then one thing that often happens, and we do this as human beings, is that once we think something's happening, we start looking for it. And if you're looking for something, you're going to find it. Doesn't mean that it's not a problem just because you're looking for it and finding it.
Right.
But it does mean that in terms of frequency and intensity, you're going to notice it. And so,
yeah. And to that point too, remember we came into training camp, and I know this seems crazy. It's almost been a month, guys, but we came into training camp thinking left tackle was going to be the spotlight. And by the time we got to the first preseason game, it was actually at the left guard position. So things have changed rather quickly, which is a credit to Josh Simmons, but also it changed the way people started, really looking at the offensive line on Saturday, which makes sense, honestly.
We'll take a timeout. When we come back, you do not have to wait any longer to get another look at Travis Kelce. You can do that in GQ right now. And then also he's going to, be at least roughly a third of the reason that they break every podcast record tomorrow. Also, not that interested in his 2 snaps on Saturday. Very interested in something Nate wrote about recently, something Seth wrote about recently. Plus, we'll see if we have a little time at the end. I think we will. I want to pick a few other snap count storylines that came out of that game on Saturday night. But first, we got to take a break.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Folks, nothing beats hanging out with the boys on a hot summer day and watching some baseball. And the simplest way that you all can get in on the action is to download the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It is crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. And the best part is, Pick 6 is available right here in Missouri. Don't miss out on the fun. Don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6, and right now, new customers can get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and then use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Bonus picks expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Before we get to Travis Kelce and everything else that he brings with him, let's talk about a few things that KCSN's bringing with us for the KCSN Foundation pre-golf tournament raffle. You don't have to be at the golf tourney for this one, although if you are, I'm excited to see you there. If you want to participate, I'll tell you how to do it. I'm also going to tell you what you can get, and I'm going to tell you that a couple of these here might be of my interest. We'll see. Here's what you can win in the KCSN Foundation pre-tournament raffle. Get a Chris Jones signed Chiefs white jersey, an Xavier Worthy rookie card graded a 10, a private tour for 10 at Holiday Distillery. I've had a good couple tours of Holiday Distillery. That's amazing. A white Rashee Rice signed jersey, and the one that I'll be asking BJ to go ahead and hold back for me, the Dwayne Bowe signed red Chiefs jersey. I don't think BJ is allowed to do that now that I've said it out loud, so I may have fumbled that one. But you can get your hands on any of those by entering the raffle at givebutter.com/KCSN Golf or Venmoing at KC Sports Network. You can get 1 ticket for $10, 7 for $50, or 20 tickets for $100. I'm not great at math, but I think that's the best value. Again, you can Venmo $10, $50, or $100 for 1, 7, or 20 tickets, respectively, at KC Sports Network on Venmo, or go to givebutter.com/KCSN Golf. The winners will be drawn on August 16th edition of that football show. August 16th is just a few days away. So if you want to get in on it, do it now. You can check all that out. Get some great prizes there if you're the one of the lucky few, or specifically the lucky one with a signed Dwayne Bowe jersey. And then we can be friends. You can maybe let me borrow it. I can hang it in my office. It's up to you. I'll put a plaque, donated by. In the meantime, though, fellas, let's go ahead and get to number 87. We have talking about Travis Kelce a few times. Nate, you wrote after he spoke in St. Joe. Seth, you've talked about him seeming extra svelte. Again, you can check that. Now, if you want to do a little film review, Seth, the GQ story will help you do that. If you want to try to get through and figure out what exactly Travis Kelce's BMI is this offseason. Nate, what has struck you about Travis Kelce throughout training camp in St. Joe, through some of the kind of funny off-season stories that are really coming out today and tomorrow as he gets back into the spotlight that way? What struck you about this last couple of months for Travis Kelce?
Well, a few things, guys. The first is he seems supremely focused on knowing exactly what he has to do to maximize what is necessary for training camp and to get he and his teammates ready for the regular season. I think that has been critical to what he's done over the last, again, almost near month. And I think what combines with that really well is, guys, listen to me very closely, because I'm going to say something that Seth has questioned, and now we have evidence to suggest otherwise. This man truly loves football. Because, guys, I don't know how many 35, 36-year-old tight ends who take no practices off truly love doing this nonsense. And there are moments in practice where you can tell this is tough. This is hard. I really got to love it to keep doing it. And he keeps showing up and being a true sort of, I won't say ambassador, but just being a true example of what it means for him to still be with Patrick, for him to still be with Andy, for him to acknowledge in the GQ article, and I think in a sense to us, even though he was trying to be very like coy about it, just be very deliberate of like, this is all I have left. This is all I'm tied to is this 1 year. So yeah, I'm gonna come into camp better shape. I'm not gonna give you any details. I'm not gonna give you, what the secret has been, even though you could pretty much infer that information. But he knows, okay, this is a route that I really got to run well. And I don't care who it's against. Mike Edwards, Jaden Hicks, Brian Cook. Okay, I'm going to run it really, really well. And I'm going to put a lot of energy into it. And then I'm going to take the slowest walk to the sideline to just like regather myself, understand everything, not wasting movement, if that makes sense. And, he still calls this beloved place his sanctuary, because it does remove him from much of the spotlight that I think he enjoys being in. But he's very focused on making this season worthwhile for himself, making the season worthwhile for his teammates. Who knows? Maybe making it worthwhile for Taylor Swift. So that has come through, and he's not angry anymore. He's breaking up fights instead of starting them, or skirmishes, I guess, if that's a better way of describing that. And yeah, I just think it's been a really successful camp for him, because he just appears to be in a much he and Patrick, I think this is a two tandem thing. I know we're talking about Travis, so I think they're both like very focused on what it takes to be intentional about how they want to go about this season.
Seth, what caught your attention when you mentioned Travis Kelce in a story a couple weeks back?
I was just for me, I was talking about things that I'm real or fantasy is new svelte Travis Kelce, real or fantasy. I can't believe someone did like back to or side by side pictures because he obviously dresses pretty much identically in terms of uniform. He knows what equipment he likes and whatever.
Yes,
kind of showing like maybe he's got a little less of a belly this year. Here's the thing with pictures like that, like depends on how the wind was blowing and how you're walking in the moment. You know what I mean? Like I don't put a ton of stock in pictures like that.
He does seem,
however,
he does seem happier to be here this year than last year.
Yeah, and in those two pictures, he does look. He looks a little bit skinnier. I'm just gonna read a quote. Okay, this is not me saying this. This is Travis Kelce saying this, and he made it clear he's very intentional right now, and has been for a while. I think it might have slipped a little bit because I did have a little bit more focus in trying to set myself up. And opportunities came up where I was excited to venture into a new world of acting and being an entertainer. I don't say this as I shouldn't have done it. I'm just saying that my work ethic is such that I have so much pride in how I do things that I never want the product to tail off. I feel like those past 2 years haven't been up to my standard. Look, dude had a lot going on. You can't, there's only 24 hours in a day. And I think that's what he said. I didn't say that, not the 24 hours part. But
no, you didn't say it at all. It would have been great if someone on this show would have really stood on business and just had that take throughout last season and could have really had a celebration at this moment. But nobody wanted that take last year.
No, well, I don't need that action in my life.
No,
I don't need the smoke. We'll see. It's really hard. And I wrote about this when I was talking about real or fantasy, and I said I think it's real. And the fact that I'm banking on a pretty great year from Kelce to where I think he's actually better than he was last year says something about who he is as a player, because pretty much anyone else turning 36 midseason, I would say, no matter how much you kind of got back the fire or how whatever, life is life, man. And you can't necessarily turn back time. And that's true in life. That's true in football. That's true in, how we physically hold up. No matter how much if I decide today to rededicate myself to fitness, I could get into as good a shape as I can at 40 years old. That is not the same shape I could get into at 25.
My back still hurts even thinking about it.
Yeah. And so I think the fact that I'm pretty confident in him says something about who he is as a player. I think he's got a lot of pride in what he does. I think he cares a ton about not letting down teammates. But I think it's just impossible to get the kind of opportunities he was getting and not take advantage of them. And that takes time. And that's You know what? That's okay. Everyone's got a right to do what they're going to do. So I think it was a really interesting article that really did address pretty directly time last offseason versus time this offseason. I mean, I don't know any other way to hear that or read it, I guess.
Right. And again, you have to understand the framework and the context. And you know this, Josh. Man, if I just put on one of the greatest postseason performances and now my lady's going on a world tour, what you want me to be in the dojo? Like, what are we talking about? Like, get out of here, right? And so context and timing means everything. He did not look, I'll just be honest, he did not look great the first 3 weeks of the season last year. You could argue he had to play his way into shape. And there were multiple times where I told you guys, if you remember correctly, some of the things I saw from him in the locker room after games in October and November, and how much punishment he was taking based on the burden that was once again placed on his shoulders. Which was not his fault, but he was beat up and he was really, I think he still earns a lot of respect for how diligent he was last season, despite the circumstances not being favorable to him. And now somebody got in the studio. Somebody was out here trying to record tracks, trying to get it down, trying to no, change that note real quick, okay? And okay, if she's in the studio, I can get in the dojo. I can do that. Then we can come back, trade some notes. You do this, I do that. You know, hey, we might go on a vacation. We might do this, we might do that. But you know what? You got to go back to the studio, and I got to go back to the dojo. Okay? So if this is it, wouldn't you want to be intentional about it? Just something to think about, because our good buddy Herbie Teope asked this man dead in his face, what is your favorite memory of training camp in the event that we will not see this man here ever again? And he said no, which I think was quite intentional. You want to ask me for my favorite memory right now? No. I'm focused on the season. So, I mean, he's not Travis has never been afraid to tell you what's going on, which again, I applaud him for it. And if he don't ask this woman tomorrow what song is dedicated to him on this new album, then why is he even here in the first place?
I want him to ask her what he thinks about Robert Tonyan. I want Taylor Swift's like full tight end room scouting report. Does she think Jared Wiley still has the juice after the ACL injury? Or, are they going to rely more on Noah Gray? I'd like to see Taylor breaking down some all-22. I want to know what she thinks about Kingsley. Does he have it? Does he have what he needs? Is Josh Simmons going to be a Hall of Famer, Taylor? Let me know.
Okay, if we remove Patrick off the list, who's the odds-on favorite to be the first teammate mentioned tomorrow?
I would guess someone from the tight end room.
I mean, I'm telling you, I feel
Noah?
like
Noah.
There's a nod.
Does she know who he is? Does she know what his nickname is?
Okay, Tucker just said she probably knows Bob because he was at tight end U. What I'm saying is, I think there's a non-zero chance that tomorrow we hear Taylor Swift hear the phrase "Big Bob Tonyan." I think there's a chance that that's on the table.
It's a majestic white horse on a sandy beach. Someone clip that and send it to her. Okay, that's his name.
They already recorded. Yeah. Probably too late for that. Tucker, do you want to see if you can get her on with us, and we'll ask her about Josh Simmons? Tucker, could you just put in a request? I figure you or Tara probably knows like who to contact. I mean, if she's making the rounds,
I'll see what I can do.
Thank you. If she's promoting the album on the podcast circuit, I feel like we're in a good demo for her.
I'm sure that's what this is. Yeah.
Maybe she could release a single with us. She could a title, just a single, the name of a single. We don't have to be able to play it.
Yeah, just name of one track.
Yeah, give us one track name.
Nice comment from Ice Pyro. Andy's gonna be the first person mentioned. Hey, not a bad way to go. See, coachable. Taylor Swift, yeah, that's coachable. Good. Always got to give thanks to the coaching staff, then the team leaders. I'm just here to learn. Yeah, just do the whole bit.
The lead single should have banned the tush push. Like, there's got to be.
Right.
She wouldn't say that in front of Jason. Obviously, there's no way.
So I've started to think about this because I know I gotta write it pretty soon, but like beyond health and beyond postseason success, what is considered a successful season for Travis Kelce if this is the last year, as much as we know right now going into it? Because he has had a successful training camp, he has been a leader in a way that I think is important because he's basically the assistant wide receiver coach. So I don't know, for you guys, what is a successful season for Travis Kelce, given the fact that this is year 13 and he's gonna be 36 and there's no guarantee beyond this year?
This isn't the answer that I think anyone's thinking about. It's a non-cliche answer to that question. But I think the actual answer is health and Super Bowl. Play 15 games and play in a Super Bowl. I mean, and ideally, win it. But like that, what other mountains are left to conquer for Travis Kelce? How many touchdowns does he have to catch this year to be the greatest tight end of all time? He already is. Great. The 1,000-yard streak has been broken. I don't care if he goes for. I'd rather him go for 800 yards and look like himself and have another one of those playoff performances where he turns back the clock rather than, grinding across. And we covered this a couple years ago, and grinding across the finish line to keep that 1,000-yard streak alive. Now that it's not a streak anymore. I think you want him to look, you want him to be healthy, look a step sprier than he was last year, and play on the biggest stage again. I think if you get that, there's not a lot else you could ask for. Would you add anything to that, Seth? You got like a number for me? You got a stat line?
I think it would be, the stuff you said. I think being a legitimate centerpiece of the offense still would be an incredibly successful season, because you don't see much of that at 36. You just don't. Tony Gonzalez pulled it off. Not a lot of other dudes at 36 could be legitimate centerpieces. It would be wonderful if the Chiefs made it to where he didn't have to do it night in and night out, though.
If he got 1,000 yards in a season where the offense had a bounce back, and to your point, Josh, he played 15 games, and let's say they get the 1 seed and go back to the Super Bowl, and he has another chance to redeem himself. I'm saying, man, it's based on what I've seen here in St. Joseph, it's possible. There's a possibility with the Rashee Rice stuff, with the third down improvisational ability of Patrick Mahomes, with a better protection, with more options spread across the line of scrimmage. I'm just like, I was thinking about this because it's not like he can't do it. It's not a talent issue right now. It's just a matter of maintenance, and obviously, exceeding when the opportunities are there. But would I be shocked if he got 1,000 yards? I don't think I would, even though historically that seems nuts at 36 years old.
It does seem nuts, and Travis Kelce has done things that have seemed nuts his entire NFL career. That's kind of that to me is what makes it all feel just as plausible as anything, because he's already broken records and defied traditional aging at the position plenty to this point. I'd very much enjoy seeing it one more time. We've talked a lot of offense today. We'll do a little bit more on the defensive side on Thursday. Plus, I do think there are a few things, and mostly actually on the defensive side that we haven't mentioned. A few snap count things, a few alignment things in the defensive secondary. There's going to be some stuff to chat about.
Seth.
We'll do that on Thursday. We may get a little bit of a little film on the defensive side as well.
Seth, give me one noise about Jeffrey Bassa. Give me one sound. Oh, buddy.
Boom. Him and Noel Williams both like to hit. Really physical players.
This is just a little preview for Thursday's show. I think the biggest winner of the draft picks was Jeffrey Bassa on Saturday. And I'll explain why to you on Thursday. And
just kidding. There's not going to be any podcasts on Thursday. All of the bandwidth is going to new highs.
Right.
On Thursday's show, we're going to log on here at our usual time. We're each going to read our social security numbers, our credit card numbers, our home addresses, and it's all going to be fine.
You can have my passport too. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, I'll just flash that on the screen.
Yeah. That's right, because
Tucker's going to take his shirt off.
I was thinking, we'll talk about Christian Fulton and him coming back and being in the mix, and nice. Maybe next week is when we'll see the first actual true first team reps from the first team defense with Drew Tranquil back and the whole thing. And that's right, she's gonna do the podcast tomorrow, and then the track list is gonna come out, and she's done it before, but that means obviously the album's gonna be available to stream upon immediate ending of the podcast. And then the dates are going to be released, and then the music video is going to happen, and then the merch is going to be released, and we're going to cease to exist as a society.
Hey, you know what? There are worse ways to go.